I guess, a much lighter thing to talk about, right?
Yeah, it's kind of silly.
It's silly.
I don't know.
It's silly.
Could matter.
Could be important. I mean, if he goes to jail, Biden wins by 10, right?
Yeah.
Right?
Apparently.
So I guess it's important.
Yeah.
Trump's circle has collapsed on him. It's really funny to see every people who we kind of held dear. That's the wrong way to put it. All these people who worked for him are turning on him in the Georgia Fulton County case for election subversion and all that stuff with the fake elector scandal. Sidney Powell has pleaded guilty and will be working with the prosecution. Excuse me. Sidney Powell will be working with the prosecution in Georgia's election suburban racketeering case. In addition, Mark Meadows has been given immunity and has said that he warned Trump about what he was doing. Mm-hmm. So this means Sidney Powell, Mark Meadows against Trump in the prosecution.
Yeah.
Another one of his lawyers, Jenna Ellis. Jenna Ellis has pleaded guilty and will also be cooperating with the prosecution.
Another one of his lawyers is Kenneth Chesebro, who has also pleaded guilty and is also cooperating.
Wow. Yeah.
So
this is insane to me. 3 lawyers and 1 chief of staff against him working with the prosecution. Yeah. A little interesting note here about Mark Meadows, which I find really funny. His book publisher is actually suing him because in his book, Mark Meadows wrote that Donald Trump was deprived of re-election to the White House in 2020 by ballot fraud, and that led to the election of President Joe Biden.
That is funny.
That's hilarious that his book publisher is now suing him because he lied like that.
Because in deposition, Mark Meadows has now admitted that wasn't true.
Yeah, he has now said that is not the case, and he even told Donald Trump at the time that was not the case, and that did not happen.
Yeah.
Now, it is important to say that the lawyers who pled in the Georgia case didn't plead to the entire main conspiracy count. Mm-hmm. That still is yet to be seen.
Yeah.
But they're working with the prosecution in a lot of ways, so not looking good for Trump boy. Not looking good for him. In addition to, Jesus Christ, what's going on over here? Why am I yawning so much? Oh my God. Okay.
It's dark now.
Yeah. All right, hold on. I'll finish this off quick, and then we'll go to the UAW, which is what I really want to talk about.
Yeah.
So there's another question here. Is Donald Trump even allowed to run for office? Constitutional scholars are kind of up in the air about this. A lot of people interpret the 14th Amendment as saying that Donald Trump is totally barred from running for office because the 14th Amendment stops people from running for public office if they have engaged in insurrection or rebellion. So now lawsuits are coming up where this is happening, and this question is getting asked. One is in Colorado. Denver District Judge Sarah Wallace, appointed to the bench by Colorado's sitting Democratic governor, will hear closing arguments on November 15th and then rule shortly after if he can even be on the ballot in the state of Colorado. And I suspect if that happens in Colorado, it's going to expand.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure it's already also in litigation right now in Minnesota.
It's in another state.
I think it's also in Minnesota.
Okay.
Yes, but no matter what happens here, whether this happens in Colorado, whether this happens in Minnesota or the other state, I wish I knew it. This is going to get appealed up to the Supreme Court. And the Supreme Court is going to have to make the decision of whether or not Donald Trump can run for office. And that's going to be really interesting. It is Minnesota?
Yeah, it is Minnesota, but I'm seeing an update 46 minutes ago, which is after we started recording, that says they blocked the bid to remove Trump.
Okay, there it is. Wow.
Yeah,
that's
very
crazy.
interesting.
Real time.
I wonder what the rationale is here.
Okay, so if this happened, then I doubt that the Colorado one will go through too.
Mm-hmm.
I doubt that.
Yeah, there's no state statute that prohibits a major political party from placing on the presidential nomination primary ballot or sending delegates to the national convention supporting a candidate who is ineligible to hold office. Oh, okay. So they're saying that the state can place a presidential nominee on the ballot even if they're ineligible to hold office.
But that doesn't mean if he wins, he's legally allowed to enter.
Correct, but I'm not sure Minnesota could decide that.
Yes.
Right? But I mean, maybe it won't happen in Colorado. Okay, so there's one in Michigan as well.
Okay.
The thing is, the state laws are different.
Right.
So I'm not completely sure that it won't happen in Colorado or Michigan because of this. I think this is crazy because it's not crazy, because it's not completely outlandish.
Oh no,
because it
I
seems
wish this
possible.
would happen. We talk all the time how we admire the German Constitution for being self-defending and like have institutions inside of the Constitution that directly combat people who try to subvert or destroy the democratic constitution. We need more of that, and that's why I think this should happen.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Right?
Yeah, so I mean, we'll see. 7 days they're supposed to have the closing arguments.
We'll
1
see.
week from now.
But Minnesota's language is interesting. They didn't totally disagree with the fact that Donald Trump is barred from office. That's not what they said. They only said that they couldn't stop him from getting on the ballot, not that they can't stop him from taking office.
Correct. Yeah. And I mean, in Colorado, there have been a series of pre-trial victories that have defied expectations that like the case is more legitimate than people thought.
Yeah.
Like Trump made several motions to throw out the case. They didn't go through. So this case is happening, which is wild.
That's so interesting. That's so interesting. Well, we'll have an update for the next episode then.
Yeah.
That'll be around time. That's
Definitely.
nuts.